Hi, my name is Bryson Bort, and I was asked to speak at the Practice and Experience in Advanced Research Computing conference series on my career. What's led me here? So, first of all, one of the things I'm known for is doing the unicorn bit. That's the company mascot of the product company site that I founded. That is a spin out of a consultancy practice that I founded 8.5 years ago called Grim. I'm also the co founder of the 501c3 nonprofit, the ICS Village, with Tom Van Norman. I'm a senior fellow at the R Street Institute and National Security Institute, and I'm an advisor to the Army Cyber Institute board. I think that's captured most of my current positions. All right, so I've been seated with some questions to brief and talk about to walk us through this. First, did you hear your calling at a young age? When I was younger, I had a predilection for computers. I loved tearing them apart. I loved tearing electronics apart. Can't tell you how many times that whenever there was a problem, it was my parents immediately blamed me that I had done something. Um, and I proceeded to follow that with going to West Point. I wanted to go to West Point because I wanted to go to a great engineering school. I wanted to go out of a sense of public service. I think that everybody should do something to give back to the community, whether that is public service with the government. Side tangent there that there's so much opportunity in government public service to see the edges of what's possible in computer security. And I highly recommend folks do that. But otherwise, there are lots of other ways to contribute to the community, which I still do today. Participating with the nonprofit in pushing education and critical infrastructure awareness for security, debating major policy issues and concerns of the day, as well as help bringing up the next generation of diversity and inclusion that we need so badly in this industry. We do not have enough folks to answer the call to all of the requirements that we need in the burgeoning space of computer security. And even more important than that, the more diversity we have, the better that security is. We need different voices, different opinions, different ideas from all sorts of different backgrounds to do it well. What were your career goals? So I've never had a long-term plan. I think that anything beyond the next step is a bit much. We might have general ideas of where we want to go in life, but I think every job I've taken, I didn't know most of what it was, right? There was that anxiety of taking a job that I was going to learn a lot on, and I was excited about it. So it's that combination and the mix of the anxiety of not having done it, and at the same time, the delight in getting to grow and learn with those opportunities. And so every position I've ever taken has just been the one that appeared somewhere in 18 to 24 months as the next role, whether that's inside the organization I was already in or outside of that organization. So overall, I would say my career goals are just to continue to do what I can to improve the community, to help other folks, and then of course, since I run several businesses, to make sure that those are successful. And uh, I only started those businesses because for me there was a passion in that I had to do it the way I wanted to do it and see those changes and how they could affect society and industry. So, how did you become an entrepreneur? I didn't set out to do this. I was an Army officer. I got hurt during the war and was discharged as a captain. And I took the first job I was given, and it had nothing to do with computers. And then eventually I found myself recruited back into the uh, computer complex, doing lots of really fun and interesting things. And the way I like to describe it is no matter how awesome that job is, at some point, the golden cage rusts, right? We grow out of the job, we grow to the next role. Otherwise, you get stagnant. You want to grow, you want to replace yourself. If you're the manager, if you're the boss, you want to essentially get yourself fired and have somebody else grow into that position and continue to create that opportunity. And so that first step was the beginning of 2013 when I started Grim. Grim's consultancy. We're a group of what I like to think of as some of the best hackers in the world. And it was just, it's a lot of fun getting to look at different client problems, different technologies, always staying fresh with the latest and greatest. And I wanted to do it my way. I saw a better way to do it where I could take care of the folks. We're not about trying to make money. We're just trying to build a good world class organization where folks are taken care of. And that was the whole point of that. I didn't see anything further than that. And then in the beginning of 2016, a Fortune 50 company came to us with a consulting engagement, and they wanted us to build a unique piece of software. And it wasn't something we'd really paid attention to that in that space because we were more custom high end penetration testing and red teaming, so we weren't paying attention to what was the state of the art that was out there. And I realized the amount of effort it took for them to come to us to have this consulting request was a market failure. Something else needed to be there. And so I went back to them and said, hey, let me keep the intellectual property. I think we've got an idea that we can take to market that lots of other customers are going to have these same kinds of requirements as you. And that was where Scythe was born. And so Scythe is essentially a modular post-access malware framework. It allows you to recreate any threat right out of the box or build your own, because it's just, since it's modular, it's just a bunch of Legos that you can piece together and they all work. And so I backfilled myself in leadership at Grimm, handed the reins over to a phenomenal leadership team that's just continued to grow and do great things. And I went full time into the software product world, where I had never done that before. I'd never done commercial software and sales. And then the third kind of company that I like to point out is the ICS Village, because that's technically a 501c3 nonprofit company. So I've done a for-profit services, a for-profit product, and a not-for-profit. So I've had experience across the range of doing them, and it's scary to take that first step. If you'd like to see some more about that, there are several talks that I've given on what I call the entrepreneurial adventures, and I walk through all of the details, the good, the bad, and what you need to think about if you want to start your own business yourself. So what do I do now? So we talked about what Scythe is. So who are my customers and what are their expectations? We have three kinds of customers. I think one of the things that we do that's neat is we've built a tool that makes it easier for consultancies. So other small boutique consultancies and businesses that do penetration testing and red team services for a living, they use our platform because it makes it a lot easier for them to do a lot of that. So they can be more profitable. It's easier for them to their teams to do those engagements for their customers. And then on the high side, that's a classified term usually. So then on the higher end, we have customers who are large enterprises, so Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, and they use our platform because the question in a modern business with their information technology is always, well, what is my risk? And risk is defined by the threat. And so that ability to really bring realistic threat across people, process, and technology, how you want to do it, at the scale you want to do it, continuously if you want, and make it really easy to consume that information and drive all that to get those insights. That's the big value proposition there for them. And then the third one is the one that we're trying to move down in space. So Wendy Nather coined this term in cybersecurity of the haves and the have-nots. The haves are those Fortune 500, 1000s who have the budget and the resources to have great security. And then there's everyone else, right? The small and the medium-sized businesses that don't. They have to outsource the information technology support, let alone what they're getting from security. And they've been relatively ignored in our market because they don't have the money. They don't have the interest. And so I'd like to find a way to take that high-end solution from the enterprise, automate it, and make better security that's usually much more of a niche service today, available for all of those millions of small businesses that are out there that are, it's an existential threat if something happened to them. So what keeps me up at night? People, my people. I have the privilege to work with great teams of folks, and so what I'm always worried about as an entrepreneur is, particularly when you start, right, making payroll, taking care of benefits, making sure that everybody is taken care of. That's what I think about all of the time. That's what keeps me up at night. SolarWinds. So when SolarWinds came out, the beard was one of my products of the pandemic. It's what I normally look like now and what I looked like before the pandemic on the news. Um, and so this is something, I think the question that was for this was kind of, why was I brought in on SolarWinds so early? And that was because of my background, I think, in offensive security, my insights on the supply chain, a lot of the work that I get to do with the think tank. It gives me an opportunity to push ideas and papers out there. I've written several op-eds in newspapers, and so it you get on that Rolodex of different journalists over time, and you build those relationships, and they come to you, or in this case, they came to me with asking different things. Um, Even bigger than SolarWinds, since I kind of note with the ransomware epidemic and also several of the critical infrastructure incidents that have happened that have really captured the public's imagination, like DarkSide and the Colonial Pipeline, um, well, and the water hack that happened around the Super Bowl in Florida. That exact same hack, we've been demonstrating that in the ICS village to raise awareness and understanding of how to defend against those things. So when you've already done literally the thing that's happening in the news and been doing it for several years, you get called for that too. I don't know when this video is coming out, but any day now on Nightline, they're going to be sharing a segment we did with them on that critical infrastructure. So takeaways, first of all, everybody walks their own path. Don't look at somebody else and go, I wish I could do that, or why can't I have done that? You're going to walk your own path. And like I said, there's no career answer to that. Just look at the next job you want. What's the next kind of opportunity? And you may not know what it is. There are all of these jobs that are out there. When I find myself in the really cool end of government offensive cyber, I didn't know that that was a thing beforehand. When I was an Army officer, I was tactical, and it was something that I found by being adjacent to it. And the next thing I knew, I had the privilege of being inside it. So ask folks. Best lesson I learned when I was a brand new second lieutenant was asking questions. You don't look stupid. The only time you look stupid is when you try to pretend, right? Better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt, right? Ask questions. That's the best way to learn. And then with that, the strength of your network is something that I think a lot of us don't appreciate. Who you know and that connectivity is so valuable. It's a great way to find different opportunities, different jobs. It's a great way to learn and bounce ideas. I talk to friends in my network all the time where I have different ideas. I'm like, well, what would you do about this? Or what do you know? And maybe there's something that they don't know, but they know somebody who does. And the next thing you know, your network facilitates growing your network, and use that. So the final piece here is I host a conference through Grim. We call it GrimCon. And the next one is going to be in December. And one of the things that we do is we recruit new speakers to the conference. Now, we don't just have a track that just says, hey, you're a new speaker. We throw you in the deep end. About a month before the conference, we'll pair you with a coach. So the one here in July, we collaborated with Share the Mic in Cyber to bring different voices to that. And this, again, what we're trying to do here. So I encourage any of you who are, again, looking to go a little bit further, participate in our free conference. We'll get you some training, we'll get you some coaching, and we'll help you get that first talk on stage with pushing some research idea that you have. Thank you.